So, of course, with our theming based around Fredbear's, but the name 1987, it does kind of offer a bit of a question with where we believe the timeline kind of sits. So, we are pretty big believers in the Bite of 83 theory. So, just getting that straight up, and we'll go more into detail about that, but just we fully believe that the Bite of 87 and Bite of 83 are separate events, and all of that junk that comes along with that.
If
you disagree, fight us.
I would love to hear.
You can, yeah, fight us down in the comments about it.
Throw us around like a little rabid animal. You got it.
Yeah, shake us around.
Yeah. So, with FNaF 4.
FNaF
Personally, my least favorite game. What's your opinion of FNaF 4?
I think it's the scariest. It is the only one that I have not been able to actually play. I'm not good at FNaF games, which is really silly. But FNaF 4, because I had bought all of the original 4 games to play them, I never got past night 3 because I would get way too scared about it. Because loud noises.
I don't even know if I even got to night 3.
Loud noises really startle me, and I think it's one of the scariest because of just the anticipation of waiting for it. But I think that really adds to it. Even if I can't personally play it, I still think it's a really cool idea and concept. Not great if you have impaired hearing, but, like, it's a cool concept either way.
It's a cool concept. I personally believe it could have been done better in a lot of ways.
It definitely could have been, especially with the whole, like, impaired hearing deal. You can't really play very well then.
It's not accessible. But
it's really not. They really should have had an accessible
version. Accessible versus, creativity in a way.
Yeah,
but that is a whole ordeal that we are not going to unpack here.
Yeah, we'll
go
not talk about that later. Probably not. But, do whatever.
Probably. We'll see.
We may. It would be an interesting topic.
I couldn't play it for, not because of loud noises or anything. Personally, for me, I can't have listening to very, very slight noises. I am such a paranoid little guy. I will crumble. I could probably do it now. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if we replay any of the FNaF games.
Yeah. It would be really fun to replay them, whether it's, like, here or just videos or whatever, streaming them or something. It'd be really fun.
It's easy filler content as well. If
it really is.
On a day.
It really is. We should look more into that after this episode.
That is something. Yeah, that is very, very something to process.
For sure.
We don't have. I'm gonna mirror. I personally don't have a lot to talk about on this episode of FNaF 4. Even though it is very interesting from a lore standpoint, I just don't have a lot of thoughts myself on it. Though, are we getting into the nitty gritty of theories just yet?
We can. If it's the only thing that you have on your mind.
Well,
go right ahead.
A member of our Discord had a lot of good things to talk about FNaF 4. Very
down in the comments.
Concepts. Yeah, go absorb.
Comments.
There's some lovely people there, and this person, Archean.
We probably should have asked them how to pronounce it before.
Yeah,
but
we should have. You know what?
We should have. We'll do that next episode.
We'll
sorry
just call
if you're
Shadows for now.
Yeah, sorry if you're watching this. Tell us how it's pronounced. Just reach out to us.
She had a lot of good theories. A lot of good thoughts.
So many theories.
There isn't a cohesive post about everything that I look at and be like, oh yeah, these points, this point. I'm sure they'll talk about it if they come on for an episode in the future. But they had a lot of in-depth thoughts about who was in the box, what the box meant, and Nightmare in general, and it was very, very interesting. And it was one of the things lately that have been gotten me thinking. um, they proposed a lot of good credence to that theory that the Nightmarion was in the box, or the box was uh, something to do with Nightmarion. And I think it was very, very interesting. I don't know how much you read about it
I didn't
in the
have much of a
Discord.
chance to, so this is kind of new to
That's
me.
fair.
So, you know.
It was a lot of stuff about FNaF World, FNaF 4, and Nightmarion's canonicity um,
Mm.
in the games. I mean, we know now that, at least in Steel Wool's timeline, Nightmarion is. And I guess with a lot of FNaF World, I don't know, it's iffy on that. Because some things aren't canon, some things are. It's weird.
Yeah.
But they pretty much just mentioned a lot of things about um, Nightmarion being in the box, and that being, sort of a interpretation of the crying child, in a way. I don't recall exactly. I wish we asked them beforehand if we could have some cohesive thoughts on
We
it.
probably will next time. I don't know if they have much for future episodes like Sister Location or anything, but whenever we go back and revisit a lot of our old stuff, we'll definitely kind of ask them then. Um,
Oh, definitely.
I will say from the
Um,
tiny bits that I've read, it's crazy to have someone like just exist around you that has like the same amount of brain rot that
oh,
isn't
100%.
like you, you know? It's crazy to have
Yeah,
someone
yeah, yeah,
else.
yeah.
And it's like,
It's
it's not
legit
just us. It's
that
not,
is
we're
the
not the
reason why we
only
have a
people.
Discord. If you want to go throw your FNAF thoughts in a environment of just chilling and like just open,
Yeah,
and it's just there for that.
we really wanted to make a very nice and
Um,
open kind of this deal so that people could talk about a lot of the theories that they had. And it's really fun to see someone actually kind of commit to that and talk about it.
it's very, very nice. I'm currently looking, and to get back on topic slightly,
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of it is FNAF World has a very one of the like the uh key not characters but concepts is this puppet master, as it's called, um in the FNAF world. It's very interesting the way that puppet, all that. um
Mm-hmm.
but the only two characters that have the fourth wall move, which is, the fourth wall,
Yeah.
is Nightmarion and Scott himself, which is just interesting in itself.
That is really interesting.
And it's just very interesting. If you join the Discord, I'm sure go ask them, and they would tell you all about it.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, again,
Do you have yeah?
mm-hmm.
Do you have
You,
any thoughts about FNAF 4 in general that you would like to move this on to?
so I do kind of want to build off of the box. It's not much, but I kind of distinctly remember, and I still think it's a really cool concept from one of Markiplier's old like lore streams that he did based around FNAF 4, where I think he got Tyler in on it too, and they were just kind of talking out their ideas and stuff. Um, and
I don't recall Markiplier lore streams. This is new to me.
yeah,
Go on.
I'll have to see it because I never got to see the whole thing. I only got to see a clip of it, but it was kind of like this sort of really interesting thought because they're just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, which is really interesting because from what I remember, Tyler didn't have any like much understanding about the lore side of FNAF or just FNAF in general at the time. And so, but he was still just kind of there talking it out. And then he had mentioned something about, because this was just around the times that the books had been released, about because there's two locks on it. With, like, he asked if there were two kind of creators that made the animatronics. And so that they would be the keys to it, Henry and William. They'd be the keys to unlocking the box, getting them, like, just both of them together. And
That
that
is such an
had
interesting
me
concept.
think a lot. And it is a really interesting thing because that would have been about the same time that we kind of learned about Purple Guy being like a full on part of the team, and that it wasn't just one guy who was behind it all, like kind of what we were expecting.
At that point, we didn't even know if Henry was canon from the books or not. Just interesting times.
Yeah, it really was. It's crazy to think that we didn't find that out until so much later with Pizzeria Simulator, to my knowledge. You know, I'm sure there were probably a lot of...
I could go off so much about Henry's inclusion in that game, but that is for...
Yeah, we'll save that for that episode. There are a lot of thoughts, which we will get to, but today's not that day, unfortunately. Trust me. You're gonna go through it when you hear all that this man has to say.
God. Yeah, originally this episode was gonna be about Henry and William a bit, but
looking back, it would be
better
to move it to Pizza Sim, and then of course talking about William can just come later, because it's like an ever-present thing. I will say, you go first. No, you go.
I will say that has left a lot of... We don't have any really set topics for this episode that we normally do, so this is going to be a little bit more of a chiller, calmer episode in terms of everything. What were you saying?
So, I was actually going to start taking it into a less calm area. Talking more about just my thoughts on FNaF 4 story-wise. Because, you know, I am the story person here in the group.
Yeah.
And this is kind of my domain here. And can I just say that from our first understandings before that we kind of knew that, you know, Cece was involved with the Aftons and all of that, can I just say that it was so refreshing to finally see FNaF from the point of view of a child. To see them kind of go through this whole new strange world and just being able to experience the terror of FNaF through the eyes of a child. I talk about this constantly, about how I so desperately want to have this nice perspective from a child's point of view. And of course, I'm always referring to more of a fun, silly way with like a child in a pizzeria. But I mean, I like that I have this to fall back on, even if we never get that, because it's still just so refreshing to again see how this child has, like, his mind has been warped by these animatronics and having to coexist with them in this world, especially before all the kind of murders and stuff had happened. It's so fascinating to me to be able to, like, sit down and see that. And it is kind of cheapened, I will say, learning that he is tied to the Aftons. I think that it would be a good kind of separation to, in like a future game or something, to just have this sort of separation where it isn't fully Afton revolved, and where he's,
we kind of get that somewhat with Security Breach, just a tiny bit.
A little. I'm still disappointed that it wasn't quite the whole, like, what we had expected, where, you know, whether it is Afton or not in Burn Trap, it still kind of has the essence of Afton, or with the vibes in it, so I don't fully count it, but again, it's still just so refreshing to go back, and especially considering that the actual story has so little to do with kind of FNaF. That doesn't come across very well, but how the animatronics themselves, outside of the night segments, seeing like this child just existing, being tormented by his older brother, and then having nothing to fall back on but these toys and stuffed animals of the pizzeria that he hates and cannot stand to be in, you know?
Yeah, and the scene at the end, it is this build-up that you're like, FNaF wouldn't go there, right? we
Yeah.
get to see them get killed, but it's normally not,
Yeah.
um, such a take from FNaF. Normally it's just like, oh, evil murderer guy, go kill children.
And
Not this
this,
weird familiar
yeah.
relationship of two siblings.
And like
And that was
on
very refreshing.
on top of that, again, like kind of like what you were kind of getting at, is that the fact that we see a death that was not directly influenced by William Afton or like Purple Guy at this point. The fact that we just see something that's so removed from at what we knew at this point, the basic storyline about, you know, William Afton, the man, the myth, the legend here, moving away from this killer and just having a game without him, except for a minor reference. And again, this is cheapened by knowing now that they are Aftons, but it still kind of holds that essence that this is completely removed from everything that we've known before. We don't have our cameras, we don't really have our doors in the same way that we're used to either. And then we don't even have our killer. We don't even have kind of the main storyline. It's fascinating. It's so fascinating to me.
There's nothing to connect it back to the previous games until later when we get the knowledge, the understanding.
Yeah.
I don't even recall what exactly gave us that directly.
It was in Sister Location. There was a keypad in the secret office where I believe, and I could be wrong.
No. Yeah. I mean more of connection between the siblings being the Aftons in exact terms. Because around then it was like, if I recall correctly, it was a lot of people wanting misinterpreting or not misinterpreting, but getting confused about who exactly the brother is compared to Springtrap, or if it's Mike Trap, if it's
Yeah,
William
that
Trap,
whole
whatever.
situation. Yeah. That is a trip. We'll have to talk about that more in next episode when we discuss Sister Location. Make sure to subscribe, by the way, if you do want to end up seeing that. So.
Oh yeah, we are changing our schedule. Possibly, I don't recall.
We will have to discuss it more. But at this moment, we are kind of considering about. Instead of posting once every week, we may move to a more bi-weekly schedule where we post once every 2 weeks. We'll still have to see about it. We may not commit to that, but it's kind of what we're looking at. Because we are just two people and we have our own lives, we can't do this, like, every week.
Yeah. With our bulk recording plan going down the drain, constant news hasn't been
It's not been a vibe. Not a vibe at all.
If we catch back on the schedule, though, we'll be running, we'll be going. Just, that is to be expected. But yeah, FNaF 4, it's the Crying Child and Michael are very interesting, or Bite Victim.
Agreed.
In terms of a lot of, gosh, Fredbear, Psychic Fredbear, little guy, goofy plushy guy. I've been actually reading a lot about this in preparation. A lot of, well, not a lot, but I've been seeing thoughts. I saw a good post about, not one I personally believe in, but it's just a refreshing take of the plush being possessed by Miss Afton, which was, I'm very iffy on Miss Afton takes. And it was refreshing to see when that wasn't like, oh, she's evil. Oh, she's Laura. Oh, something along these lines. But another one that I personally, I could actually pull this one up, prefer a lot more, is the idea that that the Fredbear plush is in relation to Cassidy. It would mean that this would have to take place after the missing children, which, it has a lot of credence in itself, but I'm more interested in the fact of the idea that Cassidy is the spirit, with a lot of the lines. Thoughts?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of soaking it in. It is really interesting to see all these new theories presented on older games. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, this is so off topic. Sorry to just immediately switch it.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new
No worries, no
Springtrap
worries.
shirt design?
Uh, the the crazy one, like the really wacky, like stylized one.
I'm not sure. It's the one with the skeleton. It's really cool.
Yes, I have. I have.
It's so cool. It was just kind of
It
on my
is.
mind. Um, I've noticed that it's been a really good time for FNaF merch lately with Security Breach. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you're like me and have a hot topic just a small drive away, you are probably exploding, and if not, you should be. Because there's just so much good Security Breach merch out there, especially the shirts. They really hit it off with the shirts this time
Sadly,
around.
sadly.
Yeah, you don't get those
Be
rights.
careful with the Hot
So,
Topic shirts. No, not because of that mostly. I saw a post.
mm-hmm.
Do you remember the Vanny shirt?
I don't
The
think so.
I would have to pull it up, but it was a Hot Topic security breach shirt, and it had Trey Start frowny. So be
Oh.
careful with that.
Oh no!
Uh huh.
I
You
didn't
don't
know
like Trey
that.
Start.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
it's not good, but you know what?
Maybe look into what shirts you buy.
Yeah, it's. I think that's the
Yeah.
only one that has been confirmed. Don't even remember if it's official shirts, because Hot Topic. Um,
Yeah, that's.
but if so, be careful.
Oof. Yeah, I didn't consider that. That's on me. I'll have to
No, no, no,
look.
you're good. You're good. It's
No
still
worries.
enjoy your shirts, people.
Yeah,
Just be careful.
just be
Um,
careful, be wary, do your research.
I mean, it's
Make sure that
literally
you.
merch of any media
It,
is
yeah,
bound to have.
this, yeah. There will always be the
Sadly.
unpleasant things.
But
Back,
yeah, to get back on
yes,
topic
sorry, back on
slightly.
topic with
No,
theories.
no, no, you're good.
I've
You're
never
good.
heard that before. Like, I've literally never heard that before, and it kind of took
It's
me by storm. It's really, again,
I'll send you
so.
the post
Yes, please do, please do.
after. I
I'd love
actually
to
will
read up on
probably
it.
put it in the description too, or comments,
Yeah,
because links.
go for it.
It's an interesting one. I suggest it. Read on it. Um,
I
it
will
it
totally
is
have to check
very.
that out.
It's a
And
very
again,
interesting idea, and I do like it. I do
mm-hmm.
like it a lot in comparison to MCI after Bite Victim. Um, I don't know. Both have very. You're the story person. I I personally have issues with both takes. In terms of the circus murder bots, but it's an interesting idea.
It is very difficult to kind of understand things from a non-story perspective. It's really difficult for me
Mhm.
to just sit back and go, this is probably what was intended, even if it makes for a story which is not as good. And I don't want to make
Yeah.
it sound like there's like a bad way of storytelling, but it's just, it doesn't particularly hit home if a lot of the murders happen before Bite Victim dies, because then it's like, what's
Mhm.
the point? Why are you murdering these children already? There's no
It's
point.
really it's
Like,
really
why?
odd.
Why are you doing
That's
this?
it could be maybe we could do this weird. I It would vaguely make sense if Elizabeth died before MCI and then Bite Victim, but like still, what is happening? Please give context.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's
people in the comments have good ideas on the on many of this, because we also have Afton Robotics and sister location.
mm-hmm.
It could give credence to Elizabeth dying before Fazbear Entertainment fully connects, but still, I don't know.
It is
No idea, no
definitely
idea.
an interesting topic, and we'll get more into that with Sister Location to actually talk about the murder animatronics that William may
Oh
or
my
may not
gosh.
have created before Bite Victim dies. Um,
Or Elizabeth, honestly. Both are kind of
yeah.
very, not good.
And we'll probably fight because I think you have different opinions on when that happens
Oh.
than me. So that'll be
I mean, I'm
interesting.
up for any. It's just my main issue with the whole thing is just the murder part. It is the
Yeah.
main thing that's thrashing everything around slightly, and I'm sure we'll get more context and help on it too, maybe. Hopefully. Maybe.
Maybe. We can always hope.
Anything, please. We can always hope. But yeah, to go back on topic
Mm-hmm.
slightly. Actually, wait, this is a good turning point. How do you feel about, Bite Victim possessing, not possessing, Golden Freddy? And the whole
I
split.
I love the idea of it. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much I can really say on it. I think that it's really interesting to think about how the whole Afton family kind of works into that, and kind of especially with William Afton making the Springlock suits as a reminder of his failures to make it safe for people
Mm-hmm.
and to kind of not going over those checks, and then not only having a child die to that, but then possibly having to face that later on down the line with the potential golden duo or even golden trio with his son still like
Oh.
possessing the Fredbear animatronic.
Mm-hmm. It's
And that's
a very
so
interesting
interesting.
concept.
Yeah, it really is. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. That's
And
kind
we
of
have
what
that
I've always.
connection of UCN, of
Of course.
Fredbear being in there, which is always lovely to throw a wrench slightly into ideas with that. But I
Yeah,
guess we'll see how that goes. Because it's so interesting to if the Bite Victim is connecting a lot more with Fredbear than Golden Freddy itself. At least in
Yeah.
my opinion. Uh, I saw a really good,
Mm-hmm.
saw some really good art of, not art, writing of the idea, sorry. Uh, and it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable that two souls can possess one. I think that's a main point of a lot,
It
of the
really
books,
is.
in terms of explaining. And it's a concept that we don't get often. Um, and the whole ordeal of I still don't really I still wish there was more confirmations on why Golden Freddy is not exactly Fredbear in terms of like purple bow tie and everything. But you know what? I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll get context eventually, hopefully.
Eventually. Maybe.
Maybe,
Do you know what would
maybe.
have been cool?
What?
If Golden Freddy was one of the, I guess it wouldn't have made much sense, but it would have been cool to have, like, if there are two different suits of, like, Fredbear versus Golden Freddy, where
Mm-hmm.
they had intended to reuse them later on down the line, for Fredbear to appear in Pizza Simulator along with Scrap Trap. That would have been a
Oh, that
really
would have been
cool
cool.
duo.
This reminds me
Mm-hmm.
of a really good, not exact theory, but a really good, actually, yeah, it counts as theory, regarding
Mm-hmm.
Cassidy and Golden Freddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone brought up the idea. I don't know who exactly, it might have been multiple people, but I remember reading of it. Um, Cassidy being, a Springlock victim herself.
That would kind of give us the reason about why Cassidy is so different. Um,
And why
with her
Golden
being so
Freddy
much
never.
more powerful,
Mm-hmm.
it would
Golden
kind
Freddy
of.
never moves from that sitting position.
That is very true. That is very true. It would definitely provide the
It's
reason about why she, in particularly, is so much more angstier. And going based
it's
off
such
of
a
my
brutal
personal
concept.
story, it really is to not
Mm-hmm.
only, like, knowing just how painful that would be and what a terrible, terrible way to die that would be, and then to imagine a child going through that's horrific. In a very positive
at the
way.
End of UCN, right? Yeah.
I shouldn't word it like that.
Oh, you good?
Yeah, I just, it's a bad thing to think about in a positive way. A child dying a horrific death.
Because at the end of UCN, the ending where Golden Freddy, goes away into the void.
Mm-hmm.
Guess how that suit is moving around, just like the FNaF.
Oh, that's so true.
That's
so true.
It's so good.
I'm
and
stealing
it makes
that.
sense because it is a Golden Freddy suit. It is a Fredbear. Why wouldn't it have spring lock?
I'm stealing that idea. I'm gonna make a quick note about that. I'm stealing it.
It's a very interesting concept, and it's so hard to tell with these theories on what would Scott Cawthon mean. What would Scott Cawthon intend?
Really?
And then you get shit like, the bite victim getting eaten by, Fredbear, and you're like, maybe, maybe he would go there.
Yeah, it's always really difficult to tell what is crossing the line.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to FNaF, because of how dark the subject matter tends to be, it is definitely difficult to find that balance that is kind of necessary for a lot of this stuff, and I think it holds a lot of people back sometimes, just figuring out what the intended version is and how far would you be willing to go for something like that,
I think that's why it's never been a confirmed thing other than just implications.
Yeah. And I'd be okay with it staying an implication. Because it doesn't have any severe lore relevance. It's just a thing that kind of happens.
It's just a concept.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable as a concept. I remember, I think FNaF theorist was talking about a similar, I don't think they said it exactly in the video, but one of the newer Tales of Pizzaplex games go into a sort of interpretation of Princess Quest and Cassie as a spirit, and her legs are broken, dude. Her legs are just broken, and it's like, why? What are we supposed to get from that other than the possible spring lock idea?
Yeah.
Why?
Especially with it being a child in an adult-sized suit.
Mm-hmm.
That would... That sure does sound interesting.
It sure is quirky.
That's terrible. This is a terrible, terrible theory. It's horrible.
It is a terrible idea, but I'm
makes here for a lot of sense I'm here for it.
To me, at least personally, on why Cassie's such a malevolent little spirit.
Agreed, and for the longest time, I was always just like, why is she the special one? You all died. Why are you special?
Why are you quirky? I mean, she's special enough to possibly get a whole movie about her in a non-joking way. Back in the scripts. And that's a little insane, just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Cassidy's a very interesting character. I find it very funny that out of the one game we're talking about this in, we're talking about Cassidy and not the main character that FNaF 4 is about in terms of the duo.
We should probably cut this off here and review.
But what do we talk about with Bite Victim?
That is there is nothing. There is nothing.
Bite Victim is the least interesting Afton, more of a plot device than anything. He doesn't do a lot.
Yeah. It is very difficult to look at that, because it really is. There are things to talk about, but they only become revealed in later games. FNaF 4 is such it's just a single step in this huge staircase of games. You can't really pick it apart without talking about everything else that it's attached to. You can't walk up the stairs by just taking a single step.
It's literally just like an entire. It is you're making the pizza, and FNaF 4 is just the entirety of the dough
Yeah,
on the
it
table.
is.
Nothing precise. There's nothing there. It's just filling everything around it.
Yeah, it adds so much, but you can't just eat the dough. You can't just like spend
Yeah,
an hour talking about the dough without becoming,
you can't research the dough for that much.
You can't research the dough. Do you have any else, like any more that you plan on talking about?
No, you just gave me the idea that, you know what, we're gonna make a short about every FNaF game in a pizza. I think
that would be like a ranking. Like, this is what this part is. Like, FNaF 4 is the dough. FNaF 1 is like the sauce. This is, or like what that one dude did. Like, FNaF games is like pizza toppings. Have you seen that video?
I don't think I have. You need to put that in the comments. Send that to me. I need to perceive that.
It's very entertaining.
A very funny idea. That is a very enjoyable idea. Yeah, other than that, FNaF 4 is kind of just goofy in itself, and, you know, the nightmares being real or not is still a debate.
Yeah.
We know for certain that Nightmare Fredbear is real, that Nightmare BB is real,
That's
and
crazy.
Nightmare possibly, but debatable.
Yeah.
Mostly because we don't know if Nightmare is more of a Halloween mascot or a not.
I do have something to talk about.
Oh?
Did you ever, like, when you were younger, or, like, even now, did you ever find the animatronics scary? The nightmare animatronics?
FNaF 4 animatronics?
Yes.
Hell no.
Yeah, that seems to be a pretty common thing that I'm
guessing you did from how you were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. I don't really
at least
anymore.
got one person to find them scary.
Yeah.
At least one, you know?
Again, I think it's because I was already really freaked out by the aspect of having to listen to it. I thought they were both really cool and really scary at the same time. So, you know, I'm the person. I was who it was targeted towards.
They're very grim, goofily scary, and I adore them. Just because I don't find them scary doesn't mean I don't enjoy them.
Oh yeah, of course.
I find the FNaF Halloween DLC animatronics a lot more scarier and a lot more conceptually interesting, in my opinion. I would have loved a game with those type of designs. The more toy, the more macabre designs. I would have enjoyed those.
Yeah. I do think that they are really cool, and I do hope that, especially with Ruin, we see more of these kind of broken down, destructed animatronics, and the kind of dark aspects that come with being like a broken toy of sorts versus this perfect, pristine.
I know you're not into fan games that much, at least in news, but we kind of are getting the idea of nightmare toys in a way with the new Pop Goes false toy animatronics, which are very neat. I'll have to show you that later.
You will, for sure.
And they fill that itch. They scratch that itch of nightmare designs for me, at least, even though they aren't nightmares. But yeah, it is very... Ruin's gonna give us some good stuff. That's in a month. That's a month.
That's crazy to think about. In a month. That's insane. Wow.
For real. And we're gonna get so much to talk about. We will be probably recording or streaming that.
Yeah, there goes our schedule again.
Yeah, you know it. Our schedule is going down the drain constantly. Depends on when it releases next month. Because if we record like at least 2 episodes in the backlog by the end of this month, we'll have probably enough.
Yeah.
Probably fine. Really, our backlog idea was flawless until they just deployed news.
We didn't even have a chance to build, like, I think we had 2 videos saved up, and then everything got ruined. And, you know, because I thought that it was going to be such a nothing year, because every year has been like a nothing year. except for, like, the build-up to Security Breach, and even then we had, like, nothing to work off of. I just assumed that we'd get nothing this year.
It's the year of the rabbit, bestie. It's the year of the rabbit.
I guess so. Like, I did not expect any of this.
The year of rabbit. What if I just lie?
Here, I'll check.
You know what? Year of the bear, maybe. You know what?
That's not a thing.
Year of the animatronic, you know?
It is the year of the rabbit. You were right.
Okay, we're good. We're out here.
You made it.
I made it. In terms of the nightmares being real or not, it's very interesting, though.
It is.
Personally, with the logbook, I personally find it very interesting that Michael knows Nightmare Fredbear, at least in my interpretation of the logbook. And it leaves some credence to FNaF 4 being, you know, Michael being the main character of the Knights, and I think that's a very interesting idea that I personally believe in. It leads to a lot more interesting of a story, but if you're just playing FNaF 4 solo and only thinking about FNaF 4, go for the Crying Child theory. Michael theory does not give you anything if you're not thinking about the other games.
I think that's really funny because my brain has not settled on an interpretation. And so with the fan fiction that I'm writing, I went both ways. Where it's like, we don't ever really get much from Bite Victim's point of view. But it is kind of implied that he is experiencing the entirety of FNaF 4 up until the day he dies. Because he lives for like a week after getting bitten and then he passes away. Except Michael also has like the exact same nightmares. So it's a really interesting kind of dynamic to work off of.
It very much is.
Because like I like the idea of both of them, so why would I choose? Just take them both.
That is true. That is very true. For the fan game, I've decided to just make it an approach of the FNaF 4 being more of a not UCN in specific, but that similar idea of a spirit, you know, being like, you know what, you're gonna be given these nightmares for a minute.
That is really interesting, and it is very fitting.
It's you know, I try my best to give Bite Victim like any part of the story.
Yeah,
please.
He really was just like a step in the way.
Just a little, you know what, he died, you know, he was in the story as he lived, you know, on the floor sobbing, doing not much.
Yeah.
But you know what, he's here. He's here. That's a lot of good, interesting things with your fanfiction. Like we've said before, if the fanfiction's out, it'll be in the description. Please read it. It's so good, from what I've read.
And I'm going to force this back on you. From everything that you've told me about the story that you're building, even if it doesn't have much of a story yet, but just the... To be fair, I may not finish mine either, so we both have a chance for... Wouldn't that be something? That would be horrible.
That would be so funny.
You know, we
like
have so much build up.
Podcast, right? We're at episode like 110. It's just like comments like, "When's the fan fiction?
Yeah,
fan game coming out?"
Yeah, you know, maybe one day. One day we'll get there. We can hope.
I'm getting there. Okay, I think UI has been kicking my ass, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. I'm just lazy. I don't write.
No, not true, first of all.
What do you mean?
True. At least, like, every, 3 days, you deploy, the most, heart-wrenching shit on me, and I'm like, how am I supposed to have a stable sense of mind anymore after I hear this sad shit? Constantly.
They're, not that big, though. They're, a few paragraphs at most.
I eat that shit up. I eat it up. I all of it. Nom nom. There's so many points. I don't even know how much I could say because I don't know how much you're wanting to keep secret or not of the fan fiction. But viewers, the Charlie content. Oh boy, the Charlie content. Oh boy.
Not the Charlie content. I pay
it's
very
my favorite
special...
part, and it's not even that big of the part That's how big the fan fiction is. It's
gonna be huge.
It's massive.
I'm talking like, I have it like planned out, and there's so much I want to focus on, but like a good 90% of it is just Michael, but like, you know, so little of it is actually other characters, but they are other characters. You will get to see other points of view when you read it, because I just like to focus on so many more people and all of their motivations.
Dude.
I'm not diseased.
I cannot
I'm
believe
not diseased.
you said that you were not diseased as me. No person goes and be like, I'm gonna write this giant fan fiction of every true thing and make the characters, feel really good, get everything correct about the characters, add a lot of detail that makes sense for the characters, fully like. Your fan fiction is like, when I read your fan fiction, I'm like, oh yeah, these are the characters. This is canon in my mind. These are how the characters would react. And then make them like only 5% of the fan fiction is other characters. Like,
yeah,
besties.
Enjoy. You get nothing from
I'm sorry,
me.
but you are diseased in a good way, in the same-ish way. You're not avoiding that one.
See, I think right now we're kind of bouncing off of the topic. I don't think we have much more we can discuss about FNaF 4. We may have to kind of drop it off here.
Episode. Yeah, you wanna let me see if I have any other thoughts.
Yeah, go for it.
Nightmare is not canon?
That's a interesting thing to think about.
At least in like the Steel Wool in-game, in the game universe in Steel Wool's timeline, Nightmare has been murdered and Nightmarion has been renamed, and I think that's a little quirky.
Yeah, it is really interesting.
I like Nightmarion as a name. Rest in peace, Nightmarion.
I always still just thought that it was like Nightmarionette and not just Nightmarion. That kind of got ruined for me when Ultimate Custom Night came out. But, I just always
Nightmarion and Ultimate Custom Night. My God.
Honestly, that's the worst. I hate him. It's
Genuinely,
horrible.
He is, like, I am gonna put him into the trash can. There he goes. Nightmarion is such an interesting concept, and the fact that it is back. That creature has presence in Security Reach and Help Wanted, and it's like, well...
Really, it really is.
You know what? If that person in, if I remember correctly, if that person in the Discord was right about Nightmarion in being connected to Bite Victim in a way, and if Nightmarion is the way Bite Victim comes back in Security Breach, then go off, Nightmarion, go off. I fear you creature.
I will say, if you definitely want more information, you should check out our Discord down in the comments below, where you will see...
Yeah, 100%.
Person that we kept on referencing. You can see all of their unhinged ramblings about FNaF lore. They're so fun to read. They are so fun to read.
For real.
We totally recommend it.
Even some music connections. You know what? I'll ask their permission by the time this gets up, and if they say yes, their Reddit will be in the description.
Yes.
They post a lot of good stuff there.
Definitely.
Definitely.
If not, then oh well, we did what we could.
We fell over,
Then you just gotta check out our Discord, How terrible would that be?
How terrible.
No one wants that to happen.
We're really out here shilling ourselves.
Listen, man, we're kind of suffering over here.
I mean, we have members. Question mark?
We have members, plural.
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 Yeah, now plural at least.
Now plural. Outside of us, it's now plural.
It's now plural. Another thing to go on to is I didn't expect to say so much for FNaF 4. This is every episode I'm like this. The plushies, the toys. FNaF 4 really be out here making it the most confusing thing in the world to understand which animatronics, types of animatronics are out by 1983. Because you have the original animatronics as plushies. You have the FNaF 2 toys as toys. What is happening?
It's
Oh
definitely
yeah, that is
made.
another. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
go off. I'll
It's
go
made
on
writing
later.
for my fan fiction a lot more difficult, having to alongside it, because like half of where I write it, it's just notes about where
Mm-hmm.
things take place when I want them
And
to
unhinged
happen.
chapter names. Unhinged chapter names. Gotta remember.
Hey now, don't come after my chapter names. They
They are
work in a
lovely.
pinch. They work in a pinch. They will change. I may one day release what the sections are called whenever I get them out. But for now, that'll remain a secret because I don't want more people like you bullying my beautiful names.
I'm not bullying. They're lovely. I
You're
love reading the
bullying.
chapters.
You're
I
bullying me.
I can't believe it. Can't believe it. Putting you into the blender. Um, but
I
yeah, an
think.
interesting part of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh
No,
yeah.
go
So,
on. Go
no,
on.
you continue.
Going on with that Cassidy Fredbear theory. Um, by if MCI is before, um, uh, bite victim's death, it brings a lot of credence and funny, interesting thoughts between what Fredbear says when Crying Child dies. The "we are still your friends," that bit. The
Mm-hmm.
MCI could have just been the Crying Child's pals, and now they're all the Crying Child has are these plushies and this Fredbear plush, and
Ooh,
they are
that
the ones that show up at the end.
sucks. That
Yeah, they are the.
sucks. That's
It would be one
terrible.
thing if the Fredbear plush was the only thing at the end, but you do see the other plushies there. They go out one by one, um, and it's very interesting. Also, that brings up another thing. I find it so
Mm-hmm.
funny when people draw like Michael art of FNAF 4, and it's like a mask, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like Crying Child's Foxy plush, the head is gone. Michael tore that thing.
Yeah, that's. Can you imagine just like how. I don't know. I don't.
Traumatizing that must have been. It also
Yeah.
gives credence on why the Crying Child is so scared of the place. Like, there is a lot of things about Fredbear being like, remember what you saw. All these things. They're definitely two very different characters than just you know a plushie with a walkie-talkie. Um, I think that's a really interesting concept as well. I personally, I, I think the Afton idea of Afton's the one that's saying these things is an interesting concept, but I think it leads a lot more interesting ideas on. Oh, you have a speaker in this plushie. The spirits, they're just gonna go talk, go vroom. Um,
Yeah.
Imagine though, right? Imagine being Michael, and your brother just gets born into the world, and your father's just like, oh, I'm gonna make a plushie so I can talk to him constantly. Fuck you.
Yeah,
You don't get shit.
it definitely provides a lot of content, like conflict from a storytelling perspective, and that's like why it's so easy to kind of dig into the Afton family because there's so much
Mm-hmm.
possible conflict. There's always something horrible going on, whether it's just the smaller things like clear favoritism, um,
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
and then Michael just kind of being left alone in the dust here, but it's definitely
It leads to
interesting.
him a very interesting main protagonist.
For sure, for sure.
Um, but yeah, the idea that the plushies represent the MCI is very interesting. I adore it. Um, though I don't personally believe the plushies themselves, other than Fredbear, are possessed in any way. But Golden Freddy has shown that it can change forms to the animatronics around it. Regular
Yeah.
classic animatronics in FNAF 1, Withered for FNAF 2, and Gendo for Sister Location. uh,
Yeah.
Gendo. And Phantom Freddy, in a way. That's a lot lesser, but Phantom Freddy is a lot more connected to Withered Golden Freddy than Withered Freddy.
Yeah,
At least in
yeah.
my eyes. But yeah, it's all very, very interesting. I adore it. Do you have anything you want to end this off with?
I don't think so. I think that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
much.
Okay.
Not much is going through the brain right now. I think I pretty much said
Yeah.
everything that I kind of expected to say, and it really sucks that a lot of it is going to have to be moved down to later episodes. But again, this is just kind of the building block game in the series. So much of it ties into future games that you can't not mention those games.
I have a question for you. A final question. Favorite animatronic from this game? Favorite character in general?
Well, we've already talked about our favorite characters, so I'll keep it to FNaF 4 specific. Some of the ones that I have always really liked, I think that Nightmarion is really cool, but if I had to go for my all-time favorite, and it's so silly, it's Plush Trap. I just really like Plush Trap.
You know what? We could... How long do you want this episode to be? Because Plush Trap is something that we could talk about.
We could talk about them.
Yeah? Okay, well, first of all, I'll mention my favorite animatronic.
Yeah, go for it.
Nightmarion's obviously, the number one cake, but if I were to say second, it's Nightmare Balloon Boy. Sorry, guys.
Of course. Like I expected anything different of you.
Balloon Boy shows up in so many games.
Honestly, it's crazy.
It's there constantly. I love reading. I've heard some people like, oh, wow, Balloon Boy really wasn't cared for. What a interesting. And he's just there. He's always there. But yeah, Plush Trap. That boy is not a nightmare. That is a toy. That is a cretin.
Yeah, especially if you see Plush Trap in. What were you gonna say?
I refuse to believe that is a nightmare. It is very much specific. Nightmare Balloon Boy as well. They're very much. They're meant to be toys. They're meant to be real things.
Well, because again, I had to do some research about the general layout of the mini games. Outside of the Fredbear's Family Diner, there is a little child talking about a Plush Trap toy that they have. So it is definitely a real thing, which is.
And then that exact kid talks of why it is called a Plush Trap and not why it's obviously a reference to Springtrap, but it's not a plush of Springtrap. It is a finger trap that is a plush of Spring Bonnie. I just got a little green,
Yeah.
Was the teaser? What was the teaser again?
It's terrible things come in small packages. I think that was it.
Yeah. Very terrible things. But I find that often, okay, first of all, Sisto can confirm that is not a part of the FNaF 4 house in a way. But the FNaF 4 night house is not even a part of the house. It's weird shit.
It is very crazy.
If we're talking about the Michael theory, then Michael had to be in this room with this little gremlin. William would have had to be like, oh, I'm gonna go make this little toy, and I'm gonna make it torture my oldest son. 1 second, be right back. Let me tinker a bit.
Yeah,
he really
something.
Just had it out. He really had it out for that poor kid.
Yeah.
Not even in he's just so he's very negative towards Michael. But the fact that he makes stupid toys to make his life even more miserable is so interesting. Weird. Go be weird, William. Go be weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it leads to that. Oh, I just thought of the worst thing in the world. I don't think it's true. It's a very dumb idea. But at this point, if Michael's getting tormented by William's creations, right? And William have seen twice his own creations kill his kids.
Yeah.
Was the intent just to be like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, mister. I'm gonna make a name trying to kill you, and I'm gonna study you for Remnant, son. My only son.
I guess so. That's just...
I don't believe it, personally. It's just a very
crazy.
weird interpretation. William. Brownie.
Agreed,
William.
agreed.
Brownie. He is very weird. But yeah, Plush Drop being not a nightmare is very good. Like that.
Yeah.
Nightmares also being kind of not... They're quirky.
They are very quirky. I think that
And
pretty
if that
much...
is true, then William had to, like, design them as the way they are to be very stupidly scary. I think that's a little funny. Because, like...
Yeah.
William made a lot of the animatronics, right? And he pops off on the scare factor in all of them. And the one time he intends to be very scary, it's the one time it doesn't work that well. Very goofy, very goofy. Anyways, yeah, let's end this episode off.
Alright.
Like,
of course,
comment,
like,
subscribe.
comment,
Go check the
subscribe.
Discord. We are talking over each other like constant. We love this.
Always. You know, one day we'll, like, be in perfect unison, too. So
we gotta do it to get the Stay Golden out, you know?
Yeah. You know, we gotta get there.
Are we gonna do it this time? Are we gonna do it?
Let's try. I don't know how we can... Wait, do you want to count down or just guess?
You know what? Let's be silent for like 2 seconds and see what happens.
Okay.
Stay golden?
Stay golden.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
We didn't. You know what? We'll get it next episode, guys. We'll get it next episode.
Well, we're
Thank you
not
for
gonna
coming.
try again. Rude.
You can try.
Stay golden. Nope.
Fuck. Nope.
Yeah,
third time's a try. Third time's.
All right.
Stay golden.
Stay golden. Stay golden. Why did you say it so fast? We'll never.
You know what? I'll edit it.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll do one last Stay Golden. I'll edit to work perfectly. You stay golden. I'll say Stay Golden. I'll edit it perfectly. You know.
Yeah. You know, bonus points if you keep in all of the before too.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. Stay golden.
That's gonna end up terrible.
That's
goodbye, people. Bye bye.
See you.